Alrighty. Hello everyone, I am Mr. Rain, and this video is just going to be a very quick recap as to the highlights of E3, and my personal own highlights for that matter. So starting off, we'll start with the EA conference with it showing not really a whole lot. We saw Jedi: The Fallen Order, which looks okay. Doesn't look great, doesn't look perfect. It is an alpha build right now, that what they showed. The level that they showed was very underwhelming. It's pretty much what everyone else has been saying, so I mean, I can't really contribute a whole lot else to it. Yeah, it's a Star Wars game. It looks decent. It's a single player game. I have hopes that will be better, and that we'll see better stuff as the time goes on. So moving onwards, they also showed some more Apex Legends stuff, with a second season coming, a limited time game mode that is out now, and a new character. And all this is good, but again, there's not really anything there that really piques my interest. I was very much on board with Apex Legends when it first came out. I was hoping for it to be a bit bigger than what it became, and right now it's a little bit in a stalling mode, as it hasn't really done anything to make me stay interested in the game. The game itself is fun, it does have great gameplay, but overall, I just feel it's missing a few things, which I've already covered on this channel, and I still agree with pretty much everything I said. And until they do anything that revolves around what I did say, which is essentially get a better early game meta, have more early game weapons, have more weapon spawn in early game, then that's really where I stand. I know Battle Royales don't have great early game metas, and Apex Legends is pretty much on top of the list for that because the map is smaller and it's designed to make you get into the action sooner. So with that being said, there are times where you can literally do nothing because the RNG screws you over. So until they do something with that, I can't really see myself going back into Apex Legends. When Season 2 does drop and they do have some sort of a map morphing, which they're teasing at, then I'll jump in and see what the fuss is about. But right now I'm more skeptical than I am optimistic when it comes to Apex Legends. They showed some more Battlefield 5 stuff. Personally, I don't care. And that pretty much sums up the EA's conference. It's short. It was okay. I'm very glad that they put out an outline as to what they were going to show, and because it saved me an hour of my life from watching a bunch of sport reviews. So EA has to do something where they can split things about, and having a schedule does help with that, as well as not mixing and matching, because they could have been very cynical and just mix up Madden first and then Battlefield and then, FIFA and then back to Star Wars. They could flip-flop between sports and regular games, and instead they sectioned them off into two halves of the conference. So I'm very glad that they did that. Again, overall, it's just underwhelming. They don't have much to talk about. They don't have much to show. So that's it with that. Onwards, we'll talk about the Microsoft conference, which I feel is probably one of the best conferences of this year. And with that being said, I am not an Xbox fan. I don't own an Xbox of any sort. And I'm just saying this in regards to their outline. I think they did it perfect. They had 60 games they wanted to show off, and they showed you 60 games. And every now and then they stopped the action. They stopped the trailers, non-stop trailers, to have a producer or an executive show up and say, hey, look at this, look at that, and then move on to the next thing. Personally, I feel that's the way to do it. If you're going to show games, show us your games, and then talk about it. Don't talk about the game and then show us a trailer, because unfortunately, that's just not how the gaming industry works. With the big reveal, one of the big reveals being Cyberpunk 2077, everyone was already hyped for it. You didn't need anyone to show up at the front end of that trailer. So you just showed the footage, and of course everyone freaked out when we saw Keanu Reeves at the very end, and then him actually being there on stage is also pretty cool. That's probably the best announcement that we've seen out of E3 in maybe a long while, and especially it takes the cake for this year. Moving forward, they showed Battletoads, which unfortunately isn't as cool as it sounds because they went with a very flat 2D art style. And my big problem with games like that, it's another beat 'em up by the way, but what my problem with those type of games is that, especially when you're looking at a trailer, you can't tell who's where. I'm looking in and I really had to strain my eyes to figure out where were the toads. I see just a bunch of colors on screen. I can see the toads, so it's not really a game that I'd be interested in. It's a shame that it's not a reimagining or a 3D version of Battletoads. It's just a casual 2D beat 'em up. So it's a shame. We saw Psychonauts 2, which has its own audience. I never got to play the original. I might play the original later on, I don't know. Honestly, we got to see Lego Star Wars. We got to see Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which is an action RPG take on the series instead of it just being a simple beat 'em up. And it goes back into the original Saiyan saga with Vegeta and Nappa crashing into Earth. So I'm interested in it to some sort, but at the same time, it's probably not something that I'll end up getting. They showed 12 minutes, which is an indie game. I think it's an indie game. I could be very wrong on that. But it does look very interesting because I like time loops, and that's exactly what this game is about. You have 12 minutes to fix an issue or to change your path. Otherwise, you get looped back to the beginning. And I don't know how that game is going to work. I don't know if it's only a single scenario or if it's something that's going to move on from time to time and then you have to fix certain issues within 12 minutes, otherwise you get set back. So it's a neat concept. I look forward to playing it. The way that they showed the game, I don't know how the game is going to play. I don't know if it's just dialogue. I don't know if there's any actual movement or action to it. So I don't know if it's a visual novel or if it's actually a game. But in regards to its presentation, it does have me intrigued. Gears 5, they didn't show any gameplay. They just showed a somewhat decent trailer. Not a great trailer, but a somewhat decent trailer. And moving forward, they showed Forza Horizon 4 Lego Speed Champions. Okay. For anyone who wanted to drive Legos. We saw more Borderlands 3, and unfortunately it's still not gameplay footage, and they really gotta hurry up on that because the game's coming out this year, September, and we have yet to see a whole lot of gameplay. I look very much forward to seeing what they're going to do, what they're going to change. I really do hope that they expand the weapons and not change the weapons, but just have weapons do more crazy stuff. Like have a weapon do something, while it's reloading type of deal. Where it's, just 100% lethal 100% of the time, something's happening. And that's about it for Borderlands 3. They showed a 5 or 10 minute long Halo Infinite, and it looks okay. I mean, of course the graphics look great and all, but we know we're not going to see it for another year, so basically it's there, they're working on it, that's about it. And that's about it, and then we keep going. We saw some, and I think that's about it for the Microsoft conference. It sounds about right. Again, overall, I think they had a great format in just showing game after game after game, even if there were indie games or whatnot. And of course, the only big problem with this is that if you don't have your primary games to show, such as Halo or Gears, it kind of does bring it down. I know a lot of people were disappointed that they didn't see any Halo gameplay or any Gears 5 gameplay. And I understand that very much, but it is what it is. They're holding on to it for the next consoles to be released next year, so moving forward, I don't really know what the other conferences are, but I am reading through essentially what is a game list of what was announced during E3. So I'm just going to pick out the ones that I am somewhat excited for. Starting off with Wolfenstein Youngblood. Okay, I mean, it's another Wolfenstein game, not going to complain. Doom Eternal. Finally got to see a little more gameplay of that, and we see that the original Doom 1 boss is in there. I think you do get to fight him in the demo that they had in E3. I could be wrong on that. Oh yes, that's right. Borderlands 2 did get a DLC, which is free for now, which is a Lilith DLC, which is one of the characters from Borderlands 2, who will also be in Borderlands 3. And It's free for now up until July 7th or July 9th. I believe it's July 9th. So get your copy of that as soon as you can. Destroy All Humans is getting a remake or a remaster of some sort. That's always been a pretty cool series. I liked it. I never owned the game, but I did play it a few times here and there, and it's a pretty neat, just destroy all humans type of game. A random alien comes down and starts causing chaos, so what can go wrong? The Final Fantasy VII Remake also got shown. We got to see not just cutscenes this time, but we also got to see some gameplay footage of it. They also do have a demo of it at E3. And that's really about it for me that I can say, because I've never played Final Fantasy. I've never played any of the Final Fantasy games. This one though, I might look into it, I don't know. I know a lot of people like this type of games. Nothing in Final Fantasy has really driven me to want to play those games. And the closest thing that I've gotten to playing one of those is Kingdom Hearts. So, it's not something that's really been up my alley. It does look good, it looks really good, very stylistic. It looks like it's going to be a great game, and I also know that's part 1 of who knows how many. So, I may or may not get it, I may or may not look into it. Right now, it looks good for what it is, and I think it's going to be a great game for the people who are interested in that game, and of course, the nostalgia factor of it. Alright, going through the list of games that I don't care about. Let's keep going. I don't see anything here that catches my interest, so I'm moving forward. I did see some of Ubisoft's conference, so I will cover that in a second here. Apparently Shenmue 3 is still coming out, but I don't know any details about that, and I don't really care about it. But I do know that it has its own audience, so moving forward though. Watch Dogs Legion actually looks like a really good game. I cannot lie. I know people are going to say, it's Watch Dogs, it's Ubisoft, and it's just another open world game, but I like the idea that it brings, where it's kind of like a a action adventure XCOM type game without it being turn-based. And I say that because the way that Watch Dogs Legion has worked, or is working, is that you don't just control a character, you control any character. And essentially, you can bring anyone in to DedSec, which is the hacking organization, or the hacking group that tends to rebel against the government. This game does take place in London as well. That's another plus for it. And the other thing is that every person you bring in has their own set of skills. So one person will be better at hacking drones than other people. Another person will be better at melee combat. I can only assume other people will be better at driving, and other different types of skills that can be used in order to complete different missions. And like I said, this is where the XCOM factor kind of comes in, where you don't have to just have a person play through a mission. You can have a group of players, a group of, maybe not players, I don't know if it's co-op, but a group of people that's in your squad to jump in and have this multi-layered mission that allows each character to do what they do. Whether it's take down drones, whether it's hack a building, or hack the lights, or whether it's just straight up melee and that type of ordeal. It definitely has my interest, and I definitely do look forward to seeing more of the game and hopefully getting a copy of it when it comes out. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Doesn't sound right, but yep, that's the one. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which is essentially the next game after Wildlands. I'm not very interested in it. It's a looter shooter, and it's not what Tom Clancy should be. It's not what Tom Clancy Ghost Recon should be, and that's really all I have to say about it. So moving forward, we're almost done. I had 2 pages left on this site. Octopath Traveler is getting released. I don't know on what. I would click on it, but I don't want to lose a page. So I know it's been out. I'm pretty sure that game's been out, so it's probably a Switch release or something. Oh yes, Nintendo. Nintendo did have some stuff to show, which was that They had the Banjo-Kazooie coming in for Smash, which is pretty cool, and it is using the old nostalgic Nintendo 64 version of Banjo-Kazooie, which is the definitive Banjo-Kazooie for me. That's a very difficult thing for me to say. I don't know why. And it's a shame because unless a certain someone, that someone being Orion, allows me to play on his Switch on Smash, I will never really be able to play that character. But that's more my fault because I don't own a Switch. And I think that is it for what I have to talk about. Let me just look at this last page real quick. Luigi's Mansion 3 comes out, which is pretty cool. We get 2 Legend of Zelda games, which is also pretty cool. I know I should go into more detail about that, but I'm not going to. And Super Mario Maker 2 is coming out with even more features and options and who knows what else. So that looks also really cool. I think Nintendo has a lot of good games coming out right now, and they're doing a lot of great things. So we'll just have to see what else you're going to do. And that pretty much covers all of E3, and at the very least, every part of E3 that I care about. So let me know what you liked the most, what you hated the most, whether or not you agree or disagree, and I'll see you guys next time.